Hey everybody, welcome back to Lettermen Row. This is the playoff drive. It's brought to you by Byers Auto. I'm Austin Ward. That's Jeremy. Birmingham and Spencer Holbrook. And Ohio State and Alabama in South Florida is still scheduled for Monday night, January 11th. There were reports from elsewhere in the country, the other programs media that is getting ready for this game, suggesting that the game was in jeopardy and could be pushed back a week. There is a fallback date for this college football playoff, which is January 18th. That is accurate. In terms of Ohio State believing at this moment that it is not going to be ready to play on Monday night, that is inaccurate, according to both Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith and their Sports Information Director Jerry Emig, who both confirmed to Lettermen Row on Tuesday afternoon that the game is on, that the normal protocol that has been in place for the last 6 weeks is still in place, and that Ohio State is preparing as if it will play on Monday. The Woody Hayes Athletic Center was open for practice on both Monday and Tuesday. If the Buckeyes felt like there was a caseload that would necessitate a postponement, that facility just would not have been open. So it's still only Tuesday. Certainly the situation can change, as we've learned many times, Berm. But at this point, all things are still on track for Ohio State to play on Monday night.
Yeah, I mean, what else should we expect out of the past year that we've had to deal with? The simple reality is the COVID-19 pandemic is still happening, and in cities like Columbus, the numbers are still going up. The positive tests are still all over the place, and the Buckeyes are not immune to it. How they're immune to it in Tuscaloosa, I don't know, but they've done a great job with that this year. The report that came from the AL.com was suggesting that it was based on Ohio State telling the powers that be that they were going to be down in a position group. We've been able to kind of piece things together if you look at the last couple of weeks where they've missed some key players, and what we've heard rumbling over the last couple of days. I don't know. I mean, it's certainly, Austin and I, you and I talked about this at Illinois. There was no reason that this game shouldn't have been pushed back to the end of January 2 months ago. So I don't really understand why there is a rush to have to play it on the 11th. To me, I want two full strength teams going head to head. So, I always thought they should have pushed this back. I don't know that 1 week is going to make a difference with the Big Ten 17-day protocol. So, what does it really matter?
Yeah, and my understanding of that as well, Berm, is that Ohio State is not unwilling to play. Whatever Nick Saban's daughter might believe and spout off on Twitter, the Buckeyes are not pushing for a postponement. They are not trying to get Justin Fields' ribs or hip to feel much better. It won't. As you said, it won't change likely the COVID protocol for this team. The players who may have tested positive coming out of the Sugar Bowl, they would not be back by the 18th in all likelihood based on that timeline. Justin Fields not going to feel all that much better 7 days later. He'd probably prefer to keep rolling off of what just happened and rather deal with the pain for an additional week to play. So the bottom line is Ohio State wants to play on Monday night. As of this very moment, it intends to play on Monday night, and it would take a bunch more positives, Spencer, to change that.
Yeah, I don't really understand why it would, benefit Ohio State to wait a week. They're just now getting things rolling. Justin Fields would probably have more time to rehab, yes, but also it might get more sore as time goes on. You don't really know how that injury is affecting him. If anybody needs more time, it's Alabama to get Jalen Waddle back into shape and get him back on the field. So, it just didn't make any sense to have this come out. And like you said, it's as of right now. We have no clue what's going to happen in the coming days because this is a wild, wacky season. 2020 is not quite over yet in the sense of football. And so you don't really know what's going to happen, but it's kind of fitting for this to happen for the national championship game, right?
It is, but it's also kind of strange because if Ohio State had closed its facility on Monday and said, just compare it to the way the NFL has operated, that's exactly how Ohio State would have handled this. If the test numbers were on the rise, you shut it down. You don't let players come into practice where they're wearing masks when they're on the field. You obviously run a much higher risk of spreading just by letting them in the facility and going through a normal practice or eating or whatever. Ohio State didn't do that. So it's curious how this happened and even a little bit strange as well from where it happened because we cover this team, and it was pretty easy to confirm that Ohio State was practicing and allowing people in the Woody. This afternoon, I just simply drove down to campus just, for my own curiosity to make sure, even though I was already told that they were getting ready to practice, why not check? Why not do the diligence? And I don't know the motivation why anybody wouldn't have done that, or why Alabama would have more insight on what's going on in Columbus.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
This whole year, I mean, the ludicrous assertion that Ohio State is trying to not play, or that they're trying to get Justin Fields help. Like, are the Browns, is Kevin Stefanski ducking the Steelers? Like, I mean, this is going on everywhere. People just need to understand that this year has been this way from the start, and there is no easy way to navigate it. So, if we wanted to just call it out, however many kids in Ohio State's program or Alabama's test positive, they're likely not feeling terrible, and they could probably play a game if they were allowed to, because the protocols are the reason that they're being held back, not the way they feel in most cases. So it's just a very frustrating time, because here we are. Let's make it about us, okay? We're supposed to be traveling to Florida on Friday, and if a decision is coming that is different than, hey, we're playing Monday the 11th, it needs to happen like right now. There can't really be days worth of discussion.
Right, and everybody knows that. I mean, part of the reason that this game is being played with 16,000 fans, or that this location wasn't moved or the date wasn't changed, was that fans were going to be there, families were going to be able to travel. Ohio State, just for example, I mean, the latest possible date you would think would have to be Saturday, when both Ohio State and Alabama are scheduled to fly down to Miami. I would assume that ESPN and the college football playoff organizers, given everything else that goes into the game, would actually want that decision made well before Saturday. And if it's got to be a Wednesday call, well, Ohio State, as of Tuesday night, has gone through 2 days of practice, doesn't have an elevated caseload that has to shut down the facility, and expects to play. So maybe this is all much ado about nothing. I think that there's a misunderstanding about Ohio State's situation. Some people are viewing this as a new outbreak, I've just seen that and been asked about that so many times. This is a continuation of something that started 6 weeks ago. At no point did Ohio State zero out of COVID test cases, and then it comes back in. We continue to not reveal those individuals, whether they're staff members or players, until that's confirmed by Ohio State or by the family members or the players themselves, if they so choose, as Drew Chrisman did, or as Harry Miller's mother did last week. But the point is, it never stopped. It never went away. Once it got into the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, they did a great job slowing it down so that they could continue to play and finish the season, but they didn't eradicate it. I'm not sure that that's even possible.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to act like it did go to zero, because that's, like you said, that's not possible. And like you said, it's been an ongoing situation for 6 weeks, and it hasn't gone away. It's just been able to level it down enough to be able to play games to get to this position. And once you get here, then you just kind of roll all the chips out how they may fall. And how they may fall is, we got an ongoing situation right now. So I think that's the best way to sum it up. There's not really much else to add, just because it's, like I said, it's an ongoing situation. We'll surely monitor it, and we'll be in South Florida when we need to be.
Ohio State hasn't been anything but short-handed in the last 6 weeks. And if they play on Monday the 11th or Monday the 18th, they're going to be short-handed still. That is just the nature of this beast. And, I think that the mood from people I've talked to around the program is that there's a lot of, kind of a screw it, let's just go get it over with. Let's knock this out and let it happen however it happens. So there's not a single body in there, other than the kids that know for sure they're not going to play, that are saying, hey, let's slow down. Let's slow down. These guys want to go. This year, this football season has been so taxing and so trying on these kids and their families that most of them, even if they know that maybe it puts them in a position where they can't go out and compete against Bama at their ultimate best, a lot of them are really ready for this to just be over.
Yeah, they don't want to extend the season for another week. They're also pretty confident about this next man up mantra that we talk so much about. They just manhandled Clemson, even though they were shorthanded. They're confident and tired. Both of those things can be true at the same time. Ohio State wants to play, intends to play on Monday night against Alabama. And the last time they played them, they were down to their third-string quarterback. I think that turned out pretty well in the Sugar Bowl in 2015, 6 years ago, as Berm corrected me with my bad math last week when we were in New Orleans. This has been the Playoff Drive. It's brought to you by Byers Auto. It's certainly an interesting one, but 2021 is still a new year and same virus at this point. That's Berm. He's Spencer Holbrook. I'm Austin Ward. This has been Playoff Drive. Stay with us for full, continuous, ongoing coverage of Ohio State at LettermenRow.com.